button.
Let's
There
go.
we go. We're live.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful.
I know.
Taking the world in
Listen.
an air fryer. Let's go. First of all, we're going to use a high quality sea salt and rub it into our steak. Do this at least an hour before cooking. And now in a preheated air fryer at 180 degrees. For a steak which is 1.5 inches thick, cook this for 5 minutes. And when your steak is done in the air fryer, into a stainless steel preheated pan, we're going to use duck fat to cook our steak. Take a cast iron press and leave it on top of your steak, and now make sure to properly render your fat cap, letting it render down for at least a couple of minutes. Roughly, this is about a minute on each side. And while your steak is resting, deglaze your pan with a splash of water. Add butter and cream, and then reduce until your desired consistency. After at least 5 minutes of resting, it's time to cut up your steak. And now for everyone to acknowledge that cooking steak in an air fryer is a perfectly valid method of cooking steak. It comes out just as good as the oven, just more convenient. And just look how perfect this steak is. And that sauce is perfection. And if you want more recipes just like this one, you can find my cookbook using the link in my bio. Let's go. This is
Ooh, that was awesome. What a great video.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good
Yeah,
morning,
that's,
everyone.
Good
Good morning.
morning. Good morning, Dr. Nelson Ali and Jordan Carnivore Connoisseur. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
I can do that now.
Just do it. And then we got the Kill Smutty Tribe. We got Ray Cruz. Good morning, North Carolina. Matthew Thomas and Kimberly Levy Nicholson from California. Boy, early. So, Jordan, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Carnivore Connoisseur, who you are, why are you doing this?
I can tell you all you need to know. I am the Carnivore Connoisseur, or Jordan Masuccio. And how far back would you like to go? Why I started doing carnivore, or why I'm doing it right now? What's my mission? What am I doing?
Your story.
Cool. I can tell you a little bit further back. I started doing a keto diet back when probably Joe Rogan made it popular. And this was just for general health. I wanted to just be the most optimal, healthy person that I could be. And from there, I've always liked cooking, and I've always been interested in innovating new recipes. And very quickly, we see diets like the carnivore diet, the animal-based diet coming up. And we see people like Sean Baker going on the Joe Rogan podcast. We see Jordan Peterson, who is a very inspiring figure for me, and his daughter, Michaela Peterson. Seeing these people talk about the carnivore diet, first impressions seems crazy. Like, to someone who has just never considered the idea that only eating meat could be healthy, to see these ideas being spoken about is mind-blowing. And since then, I have obviously done the carnivore diet and done animal-based diets and done a lot of experimenting with food. And it's so clear that we've been misled about what is a healthy diet. Hello, is everybody here? What's going on?
We're all here with
Hello?
you, Jordan. You keep going. You keep going. Yeah.
Sorry.
Hello?
Hello, we're here. Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Are you
Is
there?
my end going bad? What's going on here?
No, it's somebody was playing around
We're
with the
here.
screen.
We're here, Jordan. You keep going. We're highlighting you. Can we hear you? I can hear you. Jordan?
We're can you
Is this
hear us?
me?
Yep, you're here with us.
I have no idea. I can't hear anyone. Oh my god.
Oh no.
Let me restart this.
So apparently when we went off this screen,
We don't know. We don't
know
know.
what happens.
We
We
don't
don't
know.
know what happens.
Don't know. He'll be back.
All right. So good morning, everybody.
Good
We
morning.
can say hi to everybody.
How you
So
doing?
we got Mike from Tampa. United Carnivores here. Amy's here.
How many people here have watched the Animal movie?
Oh, he's back.
There we go. You got it.
Jesus.
There we go. Oh,
Okay. First time doing a live stream. I have no idea what happened.
you're doing great. Keep going, Jordan.
All good. Where were we? Okay, so it came into the mainstream that, well, Joe Rogan at least, as mainstream as it can get. Joe Rogan is podcasting with people talking about the carnivore diet. For me, that felt like, wow, let me just try this because I'm very open to trying anything. Tried the carnivore diet for a month, feels great. I feel some of the best I've ever felt. And from there, obviously, everyone knows Paul Saladino came out. He didn't like the carnivore diet so much anymore. He started adding fruit. I tried adding some fruit. I've been experimenting, go back and forth. Too much fruit to me feels like it just turns on the cravings for me. And if I'm eating fruit, like fruit is just healthy. I'm going to eat as much as I want. To me, that just seems like it turns on all these craving attributes from me. And I gain so much more weight just from fruit, which
Wow.
to some people would be surprising, that you wouldn't think fruit would be the thing that makes you gain weight. But it's not like a lot of weight, but still, when I do carnivore, I get shredded and lean. And when I'm doing an animal-based diet, I crave even more meat, because when you eat the fruit, then you just crave everything more. It's not just that you crave more fruit, it's just that you're always hungry now. So the diet I've kind of landed on is what Sean Baker called the opportunistic carnivore, and I've kind of run with that. And fundamentally, what that diet calls for is you primarily eat meat. You eat like 95% meat, maybe even higher. And then if you're going on a walk, going to the shops, and you see an apple in the shop, and you want to have an apple, you can have an apple. In the same way that if we were humans, hunter-gatherers, and we were on our way to a hunt, and we saw some fruit on a tree, I would imagine humans would have just eaten an apple and they would have been fine with that. So that's where I've landed with my diet, and that has caused me. I've got off track a little bit because we should probably be talking about why I started the Carnivore Connoisseur. So there's why I started the carnivore diet in general. But then, obviously, we're all on Instagram and I'm searching for recipes. How can I enjoy this diet more? Because it's fairly restrictive. So I'm just looking on Instagram and I want fun recipes for carnivore, fun recipes for the animal-based diet, and I just don't see any. There's nothing that makes me feel happy, and we're still here?
We're totally here.
All good? Okay, cool. It's just
Yeah.
everything's going crazy. Cool. Yeah. So I'm looking on Instagram and there's just nothing. There's no people doing high quality recipes like there is just for traditional food. There's no one making carnivore breads. There's no one making carnivore cakes. There's no one making anything that is something that would scratch the itch of a traditional diet to make you feel just, I'm just eating nice, comforting food, which is what I like. I like enjoying my food a lot. And I know that some people in the carnivore community think that food is just fuel, but I tend to disagree with that because I think that food is so much more than just fuel. It's something that brings people together. It makes people feel happy. It gives people comfort. It gives people enjoyment. There's something very beautiful about good food. And I guess that's why I started the Carnivore Connoisseur, because I've always loved food. And starting a diet like this felt restrictive to me. And I knew that if I was going to do a diet like this, it would take more of a refined recipe book than just steak and eggs. There needed to be more for me in order for me to want to dive headfirst into a diet like this. So I suppose what happened was I saw a niche in the market and I knew that I could fill that niche. I've been doing videography for a while and that was my job before this. So essentially what I started doing was making recipes, carnivore recipes, filming them, putting them on Instagram, and then that was last year. It's been a year since, and now we're 152,000 followers. So there we are, and here we are.
So what is it you have physically or mentally noticed in your body by shifting your diet?
Well,
as a 30-year young human being.
Well, there's two ways to answer this question. One is on the carnivore diet, and the other is on the animal-based diet, which is just carnivore, but with some fruit basically and some honey. When I do carnivore, I do feel best. And when I do carnivore, I do look my best. I get way leaner, I get shredded, and I feel good. On the animal-based diet, I feel good. I feel hungrier more of the time, and I don't feel this deep sense of like my body feels great on the carnivore diet. So I'm trying to find that balance between these two things, because doing the carnivore diet, to me at least, feels a little restrictive, and I just haven't stuck to it after like 4 years of being on and off it. So to me, that says I need to figure out a way to get as many of the benefits that I can without doing the full diet, because clearly I don't feel bad enough on animal based that I'm willing to completely cut out all the fruit. So yeah, I feel great. The carnivore diet is probably the best thing for how I feel, but then also I enjoy fruit so much, and to occasionally have something that isn't carnivore doesn't destroy my well-being so heavily that I don't do it. So what would you suggest for that? Do you think that I should just fully go carnivore, even though I don't feel that bad when I eat a bit of fruit, but I do feel my best on carnivore? What do you think?
Well, I always say to each our own. We decide what we want to eat, and I do believe that the strict carnivore probably physically is the best. I would say that if I'm going to eat fruit or anything else, it's not going to be daily. It's going to be from time to time.
Mm.
So spurts in small amounts and frequently. I think, a little bit of heroin is probably not good, but a little bit of fruit is probably okay, especially if it's ripe fruit and a limited fruit. Obviously, we're eating the human foods we eat in the way of plants are likely the least toxic plants that we've evolved able to eat, but they're not non-toxic, and that's one of the challenges. I generally don't recommend the daily consumption, but I think we are capable in small amounts infrequently with less problems, unless you have an anaphylactic reaction to something that you thought you could tolerate before. But I think the beauty is, we're all experimenting in life in some way, right? We're on an evolution of trial, and hopefully the error isn't too significant.
Mm.
What are your thoughts, Dr. Nelson?
Different people might be able to tolerate some limited frequency, I would say. I agree with you. Having something from time to time might be okay for some people. Some other people just don't tolerate. If you're really metabolically sick, you probably should avoid even healthy fruits and healthy vegetables, because we can probably excuse the use of some of those things frequently. But if you're not tolerating them, even in small amounts, then from time to time or never.
That's how I see it as well. It seems to me that there are obviously people who tolerate some foods more or less than others, and those people are the people who are the least tolerant of all these foods. They're the people who you would probably recommend to be on a very strict carnivore diet. And it makes sense, because these people will have a terrible time if they eat anything other than meat. Like Michaela Peterson, for example. She just can't eat anything that isn't meat. But for someone who just wants to be a bit healthier, and their goal isn't to be 100% best healthy person that I can be, the general population might be a bit frightened of doing a carnivore diet when the benefits aren't really that much for them. So for someone like me, when I do carnivore, I'm at 100%. But when I do animal based, I'm at like 97%. Like I feel good on both. So it's hard for me to really push to do carnivore when the marginal gains that I get from not eating fruit are quite small, and then the benefits from fruit, I really like fruit. So yes, it's hard to really push that. And I would ask you as well, Dr. Kill, since I have you here, I'm just really curious about your thoughts on if humans used to come from, well, if humans evolved to eat meat primarily, at some point we must have been eating something that was sweet because we have sweet detecting taste buds. And to my thinking, it makes sense that because we have these sweet detecting taste buds, at some point our evolutionary history was at least intertwined with something sweet, probably fruit a little bit. So what do you think about that? Because to me, that would imply that humans probably should eat a bit of fruit, or at least what are evolved to.
Well, our brains are not dumb. They care about survival through reproduction and not longevity anyway. And so finding food to survive is what the paramount mission is.
Mm.
And so yes, we can eat many things. I guess the question really is, and this is a little bit of the science, is that what toxins come from meat compared to come from plants?
Mm.
And so I think we've turned it all upside down because pizza doesn't grow on trees, does it?
Mm.
And pasta, bread, and cereals, don't grow on trees. And ultimately, the plants don't want to be eaten, just like the cows don't want to be eaten. And we've evolved to domesticate all of these organisms. And so sweet, sure, you found that you ran into that ripe plant with a lot of sweet fruit. The brain says eat it up because the brain wants you to eat it in order to make fat and get fat for the hibernation, migration, gestation, and so because wintertime, in general, over the millennia, there's been much famine, starvation, and death, hasn't there? And so we can eat them, but we didn't have shipments around the globe 50,000 years ago. It was just what was in your local environment, and even not even a couple hundred years ago or less. So I think we are omnivores in our capability of eating plants and animals, but I think we are most healthy on a mostly, if not solely, a carnivore, animal-based. And when I use the word animal-based, because remember, human beings like to make up stories. Animal-based diet means I eat animals. Plant-based means I eat plants. And I'm basically, I eat both, obviously, plants and animals. And so, again, we love a conversation. We love a story. We love publishing and doing all these things. But I think at the end of the day, a fatty meat, rare to raw, with small amounts of plants that are well cooked or well processed or ripe is likely an adequate human diet that has the least amount of toxins. But when you focus on mostly plants, now you're feeding the microbes in the gut. And the microbiome is not good for us. It wants to kill us as much as the plants and the cows, unfortunately. And
I'm there with you. Most of the way there, I'm there with you. I think that primarily humans should be eating a good 95% meat, and maybe some people 100% meat. So fundamentally, on the real important things, I think we just agree. But Paul Saladino is obviously very sad about the idea that animal-based just means eating animal foods. And this comes up a lot in my comment section as well. So maybe it's good to talk to you about it, because a lot of carnivore people are actually really upset with me that I use the term animal-based when I'm referring to something which is fruit, because I'm not sure what to do about it, because the term animal-based has now evolved in a way that a lot of people, like a large population of people, like the hashtags on Instagram, they mean fruit, meat, dairy, honey, organs, the Paul Saladino diet, So when people say animal-based, what they're hearing in the carnivore community is just animal foods. But when I'm saying it, I'm taking it from the Paul Saladino side of the world, and I'm wondering, like, what exactly should I do with this word? Because so many people understand it to be fruit, meat, Paul Saladino. Then the other side of the people, they just think that I'm crazy for eating fruit.
Well, that's an omnivore.
Yeah, of course.
Let's just-
I actually
let's
agree with you. It doesn't actually
let's just-
yeah.
Let's get down to what it is.
Mm.
You're either the only three diets: carnivore, herbivore, omnivore. Those are really the three diets. Everything else is confusing to most people around the globe.
Fair enough. It actually is confusing. I agree.
And so if we keep it simple, I mean, again, an animal-based diet is the healthiest. Okay, you ate some fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, pasta, bread, infrequently, small amounts from time to time. Don't lose your shirt over it, right? And because things like living in crowded environments are not good or normal for humanity. Driving cars, airplanes, walking across streets, those are all dangerous things. So I think that we're maybe a little too crazy and like, oh my God, you ate a fruit. I say, who cares? In general, but do you know anyone allergic to a ribeye steak?
Only people bitten by the red tick star.
No. Do you know anyone
No, of course not.
that's had an anaphylactic reaction to ribeye steak?
No, of course not. Oh, obviously, bar the people who got bitten by the red tick star, which is apparently something that makes you allergic to red meat, which is another thing, but crazy.
But you're not. That's not allergic to the meat. That's allergic to the tick.
Yeah, of course. I'm just playing with you.
Yeah, no, right. That's what we want to do. We're
Yeah,
doing that. I mean, I got a bite when I was down in Tennessee from some bug, and it's been bugging me now for about a month. How long has it been since Tennessee?
It's like 5 weeks, month and a week.
A month and a
Yeah.
half. I've still got this bug bite that turned into this large red welt. I've been on antibiotics, finally off, but it's still bugging me because it's left some antigenic component of itself, and or it's fed the microbes that are still having a heyday within me. And so that's, I mean, bees and bugs are highly antigenic, inflammatory, and that's part of one of our problems. And but again, now, what's your favorite food to cook?
My favorite food to cook.
Or to present on your podcast.
I don't want to be too cliche with it because obviously it has to be a ribeye steak. It cannot be anything else. But you know, it just feels cliche to say it. So maybe I want to say something a little more interesting, because one of the cuts of meat that I really, really enjoy would be something more like an oxtail. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
But oxtail, yes, keep going. Anything else?
Yeah, oxtail is probably one of my favorite, and it's one of the most underrated meats that you can get, because oxtail, if cooked properly, is just, it has so many different elements to it. Like, it's the soft and the fat, like soft meat, fatty chunks of fat all encasing the meat. It's like a ribeye, it's like a sirloin steak the whole way around. You know, it's got the whole fat cap the whole way around the oxtail. And yeah, it's just one of the underrated meats, but ultimately it just has to be a ribeye steak, because ribeyes are just the best thing ever.
And it's the king and queen cut, right? I mean, ultimately, the universe recognizes the power of a ribeye. And tell me about using fat in your cooking, and how critical eating fat is for our real health and wellness.
I mean, as most of the carnivore community is doing now, I will just eat sticks of butter now. Like, just cut off a little chunk of butter. That's good. So eating a lot of fat, I'm not exactly sure if it's caused any profound health effects in me, but I eat lots of butter. I feel pretty good. So, and I got my blood test taken very recently, and I've been doing this diet for years now. I'm not sure what my testosterone levels were at before, but now they're at 831, so fairly high. And I can only imagine that's partly due to diet, at least. So it's doing good for me, eating a lot of fat.
And you're 30.
And I'm 30, yes. Yeah, probably, yeah. But you know what? There are a lot of people nowadays. I know people who their testosterone levels are under 300. You know, there are young men who have testosterone levels which are plummeted, and that's probably due to their diet as well. You know, so I wonder how much of it is diet and how much of it is just my age. I agree that being young helps, but having a really bad diet really tanks it.
Yeah, it attacks your hypothalamus, pituitary, and testicles. And I think of them like goitrogenic foods. Goitrogens basically attack organs, not just the thyroid gland. And so, I mean, plants, they know how to commit warfare. They're not going to let you get away with eating them. So they're sending all of their chemicals, antigens, and foreign sugars in order to control and kill us. They've done a good job if you think about it. We work for plants more than we work for anything else.
It's true.
That's crazy.
I like the analogy.
Yes.
If your testosterone's plummeted, what's that going to do to making babies?
Well, again, I don't look at the numbers because in general, there is a significant reduction in male and female reproductive function secondary to plant protein, low animal fat diet and eating 3 to 6 meals a day. Low fat diets are deadly in essence because we're damaging the reproductive organ systems. And so definitely, but my testosterone is in the low range. Okay. But my testosterone function is fine. My vitamin D is in the low range. I don't have rickets. So I also question the levels we've created. We know that blood pressure recommendations are dropping like cholesterol. And so the reason we want to keep those hormone levels up is so we can keep the pharmaceutical business selling you probably what you're fine not to need.
Yeah. So I wonder how much of our Western medicine and understanding of what makes a healthy human is just based around the newer science of the world, and people are eating carbohydrate-rich diets. And when we take levels of healthy people, all of these people are on a high carbohydrate diet. So the levels of the healthy people are always going to be tuned in a certain way. But when we take carnivore people and we see all of the biomarkers that are associated with good health go up, but just LDL is the one that goes in the wrong direction. Maybe that is the right direction. Maybe that's where LDL is supposed to be for healthy individuals.
Why would your body make anything that's bad? It doesn't. We introduce things that cause damage and disease, which ultimately have, and the body's just reacting to outside forces that get in. LDL, HDL, VLDL, chylomicrons, cholesterol, they're all basically important molecules for the function of our body. We measure things and then we give you a pill, a shot, a doctor dissection in order to correct what's wrong with you. And in fact, it's kind of like smoking dope all day and thinking the problem is something wrong with your body, has nothing to do with your smoking. When in fact, it's simply our consumption of deadly plant products. So I'd rather use the term we're poisoned by plants. Carbohydrates are critical to the function of the human body. Without sugars, we're dead. And
so
when you
clarify, when I say high carbohydrate diet, I'm kind of using a shorthand for ultra processed grains, refined sugars, all the bad ultra processed food that we regularly consume. When I say, because generally speaking, I don't think it's that bad if people eat some carbs, as long as they're coming from foods that aren't ultra processed garbage. So yeah, it's just more of a shorthand for ultra processed foods.
Right. But asparagus, broccoli, kale, are all toxic foods for humans.
100%.
And so if I'm eating fresh, organic, clean, whole, I go down the list of the words we marketed that processed. I mean, when was the last time you went out, hunted, killed, and processed your meat?
No, you raise a very good point. I see what you're saying with the distinction between vegetables being potentially very toxic. Saying that, it seems to me that if you have someone on a whole food diet or whole foods vegan diet versus someone who's on a strict 100% processed foods diet, I'm not sure which one will come out as being worse, but we can talk about them in terms of both being very bad.
Does your body know the difference between any of these things? I mean, once it's inside your body, it doesn't say, oh, that's processed. Oh, that's industrial. Oh, no, wait, that's nature's organic, fresh, clean, whole. We'll go down the list of all the words we use. But yeah, I'm just throwing out, I agree with you 100%.
It's an interesting point. It's interesting. I've never thought about that before. I would just imagine, based on the current state of society, that when we see people eating highly processed foods, they tend to get fat and unhealthy and sick. So I'm not exactly sure what the data says about what our bodies literally do with processed foods, but it really looks like, from my unscientific perspective, that when people eat these foods, they get sick and unhealthy.
Well, again, I think it's the amount and frequency more than the actual product, because I think that, again, you only eat plants or animals. That's the science. And when it's actually plants, unprocessed, are more harmful than processed, because fermented, soaked, cooked, all reduce the toxicity of the plants. And when you cook and processed meat, it makes them less valuable, in my opinion. So raw animal products are healthier than raw plant products. And so think about it, without our massive production, nixtamalization of corn. I mean, raw corn, Dr. Nelson, is it healthy for us?
Mute.
I can already tell what he's going to say.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah, but again, you're right. You're right. I think partly I'm just working, because are there carbohydrates in meat?
From my understanding, a very small amount.
Well, don't know that answer. I mean, how
Well,
much?
we can measure, and the amounts in a ribeye steak are probably very different from the amounts of carbohydrates on an apple and grapes.
Well, true, but I don't. Again, the glycobiome, the glycans of every cell, there are sugars in meat, and so when we eat meat, we're getting amino acids, simple sugars, fatty acids, and then all the minerals and vitamins. When we eat plants, we get all those same things, but we also get the plant toxins, the antigens, the chemicals, and foreign sugars that maybe aren't healthy for us. And maybe that's part of the problem, that it's the type of sugars that are in plants that aren't in animals quite as much.
Okay, so when you say the type of sugars, do you think, what are you saying? Like, is there like fructose in fruit and then a different type of sugar in meat? I've never even heard about this, so I'd be interesting to hear what that difference is.
So there's something called the glycobiome, the sugar environment of every cell of every organism. And the sugar environment is the critical environment of the cell. It's less the protein, less the fat, it's more the sugar. So plants tend to have more mannose sugars than animal cells.
And can you
And-
explain what that is? Mannose sugars. I've never heard of this concept.
Well,
before.
there are hundreds of sugars, not just a few, and they all have slightly different functions or chemical properties. That might be a better way to say it. And
That's very
so,
interesting.
so we're not digging deep enough when we talk about sugar because everyone thinks glucose, sucrose, and fructose, but all of those are digested and then metabolized in the human body. But we're allergic to certain sugars more so than others. And there are 9 sugars in the human body that are our primary sugars. And we just don't talk that much about it. I think the science is a little wrong because we still think we burn sugar as energy when we don't. We burn fat as energy. And we've sort of maligned fat in all of this. But I think you'd agree that cooking fat is where all the flavor comes from.
Certainly, yes.
And so when you eat fat, is it just fat or the fat cells contain sugars, proteins, and fats?
Yeah, my understanding is that the Maillard reaction is caused from the proteins caramelizing, essentially like sugars, no?
It's the sugars that are caramelizing because there are sugars and proteins in meat, not just protein. So again, I still think we're missing the most important part of the story, which is the glyco or sugar environment. So are there questions coming up here?
Yep.
Let's get Jordan. And what's the prize today?
Kill Spidey Tribe t-shirt. A Kill
And
Spidey
it's
Tribe t-shirt.
hashtag Jordan.
That's right. Hashtag Jordan.
Hello.
Hashtag Jordan. And
Let's go.
and I put it in there. And if I come up, then I choose from someone on Mighty Tribe.
There you go. All right. So Jordan, what is your favorite recipe? I guess we talked about the ribeye, but is there like a specific recipe that's your favorite?
Favorite recipe? Well, recently I've been doing a lot of scrambled eggs. I've just been trying to really perfect the best scrambled egg recipe that you could ever get. And I think that I really have landed on something that is truly different in a significant way from a traditional scrambled egg that everyone should really try. If you're on the carnivore diet, I'm assuming a lot of people eat scrambled eggs with bacon. That's just one of the standard meals, right? So if you really want to elevate your scrambled eggs and bacon in the morning, I posted a video yesterday with the most updated recipe for the best scrambled eggs you're ever going to have. And they truly are really, really good. So anyone who doubts that scrambled eggs can be a much, much better experience than they have been having currently, just go try the recipe and then you will see the best scrambled eggs in the world.
Awesome. I will put your link in the chat so people can check that out after this.
Yes, please. Yeah, I posted it today, so yesterday. So
awesome.
Yeah.
CB Carmack has hashtag Jordan Everwatch Chris Cooking Nashville's channel on YouTube. He's has a great what I call sad diet transition and great occasional treat meals.
Yes, he's actually one of my inspirations for starting this page. He was one of the only people who I saw who was being truly, truly creative with the carnivore diet, and the foods he made just look like they are so accurate to what they're meant to be. You know, sometimes you'll see people make, I don't know, various carnivore recipes, and they kind of just look not very nice, not very enjoyable. But all his food just looked great, and he's one of the people that made me believe that, okay, like I can do this. There's so many recipes that are possible here that most people just aren't tapping into, but this guy knows what he's doing. So Chris Nashville?
Chris
Cooking Nashville.
Chris Cooking Nashville. He is probably one of the reasons I started this page. So thank you.
Oh wow! I should introduce you guys. He's lovely.
That's great. That'd be really lovely, actually. I really like that guy. He seems great.
He's amazing. He's so cool. You guys would be great. Great friends.
Yes.
Knowing him.
Exchanging all the recipes, coming up with new ideas. Yeah. It would be great.
Sharon is asking. She hasn't seen. She saw the trailer for Animal, but doesn't have Netflix. I want to tell Sharon that it's not on Netflix. You can
Amazon.
rent it's Amazon or Apple. That's how we're going to see the Animal documentary.
Nice.
There you go. Okay, so
Is that out now? Is Animal out now?
it is. It's not in the UK yet. It's supposed to be in a couple
no.
days. But if you just turn a VPN on, you should be able
gonna say,
to watch
I was going to
it.
say, I have a VPN. I'll watch it tonight.
Nice. Apple or Amazon. It's like $5 to rent, $10 to buy it.
I got it.
Okay. Nice. Elkie. This is actually Elkie. Oh, what? Oh my God, really? That is something that people will argue about. Microbiome is a big deal for everyone, isn't it?
It's deadly. The microbiome is, and interesting enough, they've looked at animals, sterile animals that have no microbes in the gut. They live longer. And so, again, they're everywhere. Doesn't mean they're good for us, but we've made a science out of snake oil, in my opinion.
That's
and
very
the
interesting.
microbes are one of the biggest killers. I'm sorry, Jordan.
I said that's very interesting. I've never heard this as a idea proposed before. After this, would it be okay if you just, I don't know, even now you could explain some of the science for why you think this, but maybe some paper, maybe after you could send me some papers just explaining the thinking behind this, because I'm very interested in that as a concept.
Well, so number one is science is theoretical, correct?
Yeah.
Meaning that we spew out a lot of theories, hypotheses, but you can never prove it 100%. But let's accept that we believe in sort of the scientific method, but which microbe is good for you that you put in your brain cells?
Yeah. Probably none.
How about in your bloodstream?
Yeah, probably none.
Okay, so are there microbes everywhere?
I've been told, yes.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much everywhere. I mean, they grow in our bread or fruits or everywhere. And so that doesn't mean they're good for us. They're there. We evolved with
not
all
in my
of them.
bread.
Yes, they not in your bread. That's right. Dr. Nelson's bread has been maybe they put antibiotics. So I believe that the gut microbiome is the biggest killer and cause of disease in our bodies.
Okay.
But you can't live without it because we're not living on antibiotics all the time, nor are you going to live in a bubble of sterility, because then you can't live life. And so it is interesting fact, but there aren't.
Go on.
This is my theory.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bet $1 billion on it.
So just if I can steel man your theory, you propose the idea that we have a gut microbiome that is inevitable to get filled up with certain types of bacteria, because whatever we do, it's an open system, so it's going to have something in it. But when we see people who have the least amount of activity in the gut microbiome, these people have the better health outcomes. And from that, you've proposed that the gut microbiome is actually bad for you.
Well, again, it is likely the biggest cause of disease. Diarrhea and pneumonia is caused by what?
Eating bugs, I suppose.
They're microbes, right?
Yep.
And so,
Some
I mean,
bugs.
just go down the list of all the infectious diseases that we've cared for over the eons. They're from the bugs. And so when we, it's kind of like if I go to Los Angeles and everyone's in bed and it's quiet on the streets, it's probably safer, right? But if you go out there and there are mobs everywhere, it's not as healthy an environment, is it?
So this is more just a devil's advocate here, because I don't have any real position on this, but the people who talk about gut microbiomes, they're really pushing the idea that these gut bacteria are in some way evolved and beneficial. And when you feed them the right things, they actually help aid your body in fighting disease and other negative health outcomes that you would otherwise not want. So why do you think why are they wrong?
What do you mean feed them how?
So people would propose like eating fermented foods like kefir, kimchi, the microbes in those foods are somehow building up healthy colonies of bacteria in your stomach, and those healthy colonies will aid your own immune system in being healthier. This is what I've heard all the time. So why do you think that's wrong? Like, what about that argument is
right.
flawed for you?
You hear that all the time.
Mm.
Everything you hear all the time, you think is true. Correct?
No, of course not.
No, of course you do. That's our brain. That's called propaganda. It's sort of like a healthy diet. Eat your fruits and vegetables, right? That's called propaganda. I mean, this is all just what we do online here is share our story, which is in fact a form of propaganda, by the way. And we're not negating anyone else's propaganda either. We're sharing our story, and plenty of people don't believe us, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Right. And so, but there is, again, I'm not negating the fact that microbes are there. I don't know that we've fully proven that if I give you a bunch of microbes, it's kind of like sending in the US military versus the National Guard to protect the people. Or does it incite more mobs to do more anarchy? And I don't know that we've adequately proven it, because the problem is that publishing science is also a political and a marketing game too. If we don't find what we want, we're not publishing it.
Yeah, I agree. Science, especially food science, well, probably all science to some degree, clearly has this bias element where it's being bought by the people who want to see certain results. So yes, that's fundamentally I agree. But for me, that just leaves me thinking, I don't really have any idea. I'm quite agnostic towards the idea that a gut microbiome might be beneficial or might be bad. I don't know. But you were telling me that you bet $1 million on it. Like, what is driving the certainty here? Because for me, I just don't know. But for you, you have this certainty. And I just want to know where it's coming from.
Oh, what I've learned in life is that certainty builds confidence and builds people that go like, huh. So question everything. Question me. Don't accept what I say. Microbes are everywhere. We evolved with them. Would you like to have a bunch of alligators in your house? No. So, but one alligator that's been trained and tamed might be okay. But again, it's
still not even sure about that one.
It's not an all or none here. Again, there's lots of things the environment's changing, everything's always changing, but the microbes are part of our existence. We likely share DNA, for sure. We know that viruses plop in their DNA into our DNA, and that's a big factor also. But again, I question everything and think about it in a sort of a more generalized form. But in general, Dr. Nelson, I mean, we see a lot of chronic disease, but evolutionarily speaking, is it the microbes that probably wipe out the most people in the quickest amount of time?
Probably not.
Think about tuberculosis. Think about polio. Think about think about the diseases that have wiped out large numbers of people besides an atomic bomb. It's the microbes.
It's true. The Black Plague obviously is just devastating. Tuberculosis, even nowadays. Every pandemic that has killed millions of people has just started from little tiny microbes. I completely agree. Microbes are clearly the thing that have the highest potential just to wipe humans off the planet, if anything could. So yes, completely agree there.
And when I read the paper that basically in a sterile lab, the animals lived longer if they were sterile. Next question.
This is from Robin, Carnivore's grandma. Is this the man that makes the beautiful recipe videos? Yes.
Hello.
Are we doing a meetup down in we have a meetup with Robin?
You do at the end of August, yes.
What's
Meetup
the date?
August 28th with
Yeah,
Robin in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
and you could go to Kilt's meetup.
Yep, kiltsmeetup.com and get a sign up for that. August 30th. Sorry, August 30th.
And this Saturday in Boston, Dr. Nelson, are you going to be there?
I am
Yes.
going to be there.
Alia?
Yes, I will be there.
All right. So we got a
And
great
Nate.
great meetup coming up in Boston, and we have some tickets left. Get there or be square.
Exactly.
I would love to be there, but it is
Aw.
all the way over the pond for me. So, alas,
We got it
alas.
in September. We've got several people coming from across the pond.
I do need to
actually.
at some point. If I was more prepared, and after meeting you lovely people, there must be an
Aw.
opportunity for me to be coming to America pretty soon, coming up. So hopefully that will be in the near future.
We're going to
Oh,
get
awesome.
you here. We're going to get you here, Jordan. For sure.
Let's go.
Next.
We should do an event. I was gonna say we should do an event where we get him and Chris together and they just cook for us all day.
And Kilts, I'll do my ice cream.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
there you go. No carb Barb. How do you cook oxtail?
How do I cook oxtail? Oh, so
Yes.
usually the method is just in a pressure cooker. Pressure cookers get it done in about, I don't know, a couple hours, rather than having to leave it in there for 8 hours throughout the whole day. So I would just brown the oxtail, obviously salt it the day before, brown the oxtail in a pot, water, just straight water, filtered water, and then just leave it on the pot for a couple hours, strain the water, and then reduce the liquid at the bottom until you get a thick jus, and then you put the oxtail back in, mix it up. There we go. Beautiful.
Little butter and salt, and you're perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. So easy. So easy. The next question is about oxtail. Okay, so here's one for Dr. Nelson. Dr.
People love
Nelson.
oxtail.
Yeah, let's eat it. It's so good. So good. And then save the bones into your bone broth. Okay.
Mm.
Dr. Nelson, insulin resistance is a well-known phrase. Is there such a thing as glucagon resistance and GLP-1 resistance?
Every system in our bodies, when damaged, can malfunction. That I'm trying to be as general as possible. I think in this community, at least, we do know with certainty that what we eat affects us, right? So your body, when you feed it the wrong thing, definitely malfunctions. And glucagon, by the way, is a very important part of the story that sometimes is not even addressed when they are talking about insulin and glucose and fatty acids and all this, and they leave the glucagon aside. But any of our systems can be affected with the wrong diet to our bodies. What's the right diet, Dr. Kiltz?
Fatty meat, salt water, one meal a day, have faith in God, and love life. And go out and be a hunter.
So, Dr. Kiltz, something I wanted to speak to you about as well, and you even brought it up. You were talking about the less you cook the meat, the better it is as well. And for me, I have a little bit of anxiety about eating raw meat, even though in a restaurant, I'm happy to eat
Have
steak
you
tartare.
tried it?
I've tried it many times. Steak tartare in a restaurant, I'm perfectly happy to eat it. I'm just a bit worried about you might say, propaganda of the microbes on the meat causing me to have some sort of fatal reaction. I'm kind of scared of that. So even though I would really love to eat, I'm fully open to the idea of just eating way more raw meat and it being nutritionally beneficial. But maybe you can try and get me over this hump of being propagandized and scared of the fact that raw meat might kill me.
Well, how often have you heard of ribeye steak being recalled because of contamination?
I don't know.
infrequent to never. How about salads or vegetables or fruit? Commonly, Salmonella, E. coli, Shigella are on fruits and vegetables. And so when you're eating fruits and vegetables, again, especially the raw form, and in general, salad and tomatoes and those things are commonly eaten raw, aren't they?
Mm.
They contain the microbes that are the cause of diarrhea, diseases, gastrointestinal inflammation more than anything.
Mm.
And that's why hamburgers are different than whole beef, unprocessed.
Mm.
And those are, you'll see that recall some, but the
Mm.
majority of recalls are from the raw plants.
Mm.
That's
So you
why.
say that raw beef mince probably not the best one just to eat straight out of the packet.
No, again, in general, I mean, how often you eating raw carrots or raw anything?
Yeah.
I mean, those are eaten tremendously, and we don't, we wash them off. But have you ever tried to wash a dirty diaper and just rinse it off? I mean, it's still dirty, right?
Yes.
Until you disinfect it, correct?
Mm.
And so piss and poop are all over the plants all day long. I mean, they're out in nature, right?
Talking like a real grandpa, huh?
You got it. You got it.
Another one that maybe I would be able to get some help from you guys. I have my blood works taken recently, and maybe this is something to do after. But since I have you guys here,
Yeah, we're alive. That's good.
could I send you the blood work and you have a little look at it?
Oh, anything in particular?
I don't know anything about it, so just like a glance and tell me if I'm healthy. Like, am I doing good?
Blood work doesn't tell you you're healthy.
Okay, tell me about it then. What should I be looking for if I want to know? Am I doing a good job with my health?
How you feeling?
Feel pretty good.
That's what I go by. I mean, for the first 3.5 million years, what doctor did you go to tell you were healthy and well?
We're quite privileged as a species now.
What's that?
I said we are quite privileged as a species now. We get to take our blood out and then try and determine whether we're healthy or not. You think that's not good?
Well, it's since the advent of modern science and medicine, in general, has the cost of healthcare gone down or up?
Up. Go on, where are you leading me with this?
Are more people getting sicker?
Yeah, sicker. Way sicker.
Okay, so and we've been doing testing. Now you can get your blood test yourself. In general, has that saved more lives or likely caused us to then go to the doctor, either get a drug or another diagnostic test or a dissection, which added more damage to our body than if we just...
So just to clarify, do you think that there's nothing you can glean from a blood test to know whether you're doing a good job? Because the reason I even took it in the first place was I'm doing a little experiment with beef liver supplements, and the thinking was I'll do a blood test, see what my testosterone is, see what all my biomarkers are. Now I'm going to take beef liver supplements and beef testicle supplements and then see, will my testosterone go up? Will I be healthier? Does adding organs do anything significant to my bloods? But now you're telling me that it doesn't matter anyway. It's just random data.
We haven't proven that in a prospective double-blind placebo-controlled trial, to my knowledge. And in actuality, the FDA has you cannot make claims of using supplements to cure disease. Did you know that?
No, I'm not even quite sure what you mean. The FDA says you can't use supplements to cure disease.
No. We cannot make claims of supplements curing disease.
Okay. Who cannot make claims?
Those who sell supplements.
Oh, okay. Yes, gotcha.
Because it's not been adequately proven. That's our problem. Dr. Nelson, when was the last time you saw a patient with rickets?
Never actually in 41
or
years.
or scurvy.
Yeah, that's
So-
the curious one. The curious one is the scurvy. No one has scurvy. What's going on there?
Well, because is it possible that our vitamin science and vitamin supplementation likely isn't such a true science anyway? Because was it the lack of vitamin C or was it the lack of fresh fatty meat?
Mm.
Which one was it that probably caused scurvy and
Mm.
rickets and all those other diseases?
And that is not denying that they exist, by the way, Jordan. It's just the frequency that nowadays, at least in the United States, of seeing those things.
Mm.
I've never seen them, by the way, even though, we know what happens when you have a group of people that haven't had enough vitamin C or vitamin B1 or vitamin B12. And we talk about all these things, but the frequency that we see them nowadays is very small.
If a vegan takes B12 supplements, will they be healthy?
Healthier, I would imagine.
Not necessarily.
Really?
Because remember, it's not the lack of vitamin B12, it's the toxins that are in the plants that are likely the biggest cause of disease. But is the cholesterol science accurate, and the use of statins a truth that we'll all agree with, that cholesterol causes heart disease and taking a statin will cure that? I just question even our vitamin science. Because remember,
I would agree.
what's the purpose of vitamin science? Selling a vitamin, pharmaceuticals, right? So listen, I gotta go at 7:02.
Oh,
Let's do our giveaway.
Let's do our
Jordan, this was
giveaway.
really amazing. You got a lot of good stuff. We're gonna highlight what you're doing and keep sharing. And I know we're gonna get together one way or another somewhere in this world.
Are you in New York?
I'm in New York.
Okay.
I'm in New York today. I'm here. I'll see you guys in Boston on Saturday. I'll be there Saturday morning.
Terry.
Yay, Terry. Woohoo! Congratulations. Email me, alia@drkilts.com, your address, your phone number, and your shirt size, and we will send you a Kilts Mighty Tribe shirt. Congratulations.
Very nice.
Dr. Nelson, do we have anyone on today? Are you doing a live at 3-ish?
At 3:30 today, we moved it up a little bit. 3:30. Be there or be square.
All right. All right.
Goodbye,
Right,
everybody.
that was great.
Bye.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate
Yeah,
you
you're
all.
so
Thank you very
welcome.
much. That's great.